seats so we can get going. Thank you. Well then, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed the tea break. I saw an excited crowd around the demonstrations, and that's really good to see. Of course, the demonstrations will be open during lunch and post the afternoon sessions as well, so you can go and ask more questions and spend time over there. We'll dive right into the next session. Convergence of digital technologies is transforming user behavior while creating new business opportunities for everyone associated with them. Few people understand this better than Kshitij, Ashtekar, and BS Vijay Krishna. With over 17 years of experience, Kshitij is our big data analytics lead, responsible for capability and offering development across emerging technologies. He has spent 16 of his 17 years in the data and analytics space and has delivered complex, large-scale data warehousing projects across 11 countries in telecom and finance industries. Vijay Krishna, who will also be joining him on stage, is our lead for mobility testing global offers and India delivery, and is responsible for product offer development related to connected world test services, mobile applications tests, and operator acceptance testing. Vijay has over 15 years of experience focused on mobile technologies and embedded products, and he's someone who can be called an expert in every area related to mobility. I request Vijay and Kshitij to please come on stage and share their thoughts on a connected life, a paradigm enabled by digital technologies. Please put your hands together for Vijay and Kshitij.
All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Probably I'll just take off the every word on mobility. And probably nobody today really can claim all of that, but thank you for the great introduction. Kshitij, what wonderful then this set of this group of technologists to understand what is really digital bringing to us, how it's impacting our day-to-day life. I'm sure each of you have been part of some of the world-class products or solutions, if not already in the digital space. Now, what we want to see is how is it already how is it all bringing into our day-to-day life? What is the opportunity on our hand to be digital disruptors to the millions of customers who are looking forward to it there? Let me start this with a simple pop quiz. Kshitij, what kind of connected devices, how many number do you think we are looking at in 2020?
Connected device, you mean device-to-device connections?
Connected products, call it anything that can be intelligent and interact.
So I guess there are about 7 billion people in this world, right?
Yeah.
So maybe an order of magnitude 8 billion.
8 billion? Anybody in the audience? Want to take a guess? Yeah, please go ahead.
20 billion.
20 billion, okay. Come on, there's no right, wrong answer. Any number is okay today. It's all estimates. Sorry? 11 billion, all right. Yeah. It can't be a perfect answer for sure. Yeah, so maybe, yeah, that's a beautiful point. You know, you need to be really, really careful what you're talking about connected devices. I'm talking about anything that's intelligent and can interact in its context with the surroundings. So let me kind of give you an answer. If you look at the market research out there, we're talking about anywhere about 50 billion connected devices by 2020. Now, what does that mean? We're looking at 7 devices on an average per person, right? Now, that's the kind of disruption we are talking about. And we at Accenture believe that this can be transformational.
Absolutely. I mean, this is great. I mean, but I would want to really understand what it really means for us, more than just probably the financial business. You know, what does it mean for me?
Sure, Kshitij. So you know, of course, one, this is all bringing in what we are talking about as a close to $2.5 trillion business impact. But like Kshitij said, I'm sure all of us have in our minds, what does it mean to me in terms of my career? What does it mean to me in terms of as an individual, as a consumer of these products? So why don't we, Kshitij, walk them through a typical day in a connected life?
That will be great, I believe, yeah? Let's do that.
All right, so let me start with, you know, morning 8 a.m. in the day. And, you know, the sound of 8 a.m., I can already feel in the room the tension go up and the BPs rise up. That's been kind of the lifestyle. So let's start at 8 a.m., getting to work. And, you know, what you see is probably, it could be any busy metro out there, the kind of crowd out there. So let's look at a situation where, you're getting into the metro train, and hopefully 2020 we're going to have it in Bangalore as well. So let's say we're getting into the metro train. Now, usually what it has been today is about you planning your trip, you're looking at your schedule about when the train arrives, you're buying your tickets just off the counter, getting to your manual point of sale, and then getting onto your platform, getting onto your train, getting the ticket checker to validate. So there's all of this, in some sense, are adding up to the stressing elements. And what we have done at Accenture is actually transformed quite a few of the cities out there in North America in terms of the experience users get onto the train. So here is, has got onto the train, he just realizes he hasn't bought the ticket or doesn't have it sufficiently. We are looking at mobile, which is an end-to-end deployment system in this case of getting onto the train, you decide what's your trip, use your M-Wallet, top up your application, you recharge your currency, and within 3 seconds, you're ready to tap onto the point of sale out there, even before you left the train station. So that's the kind of transformation we are talking about, starting right from your train journey in the morning.
I'm not a train guy, absolutely. In Mumbai, you cannot travel in trains. You know that, right?
Sure,
I'm a car guy, so I'm already in my car. Tell me what you can do with my car.
Sure, Kshitij. Being from Mumbai, I can understand your hate for the trains, but being a lot of Bangaloreans here, although we like it, it's not yet there. So let's get to the cars, what we usually do every day morning, driving to work. Now, as early as 2015, we're talking about more than 50% of the cars to be connected. What does it mean? Here is an example of IVI platform that we have built at Accenture, which probably one of the first globally to get GNV 5 certified. Anybody familiar with GNV 5 certification? All right, so let me tell you, this is the benchmark of the industry in terms of certifying various infotainment and vehicle platforms. Now, what does this mean? What does this platform look like? In a connected car like this, we are looking at constantly your vehicle diagnostics, going back to your service center, going back to your back-end information, and Kshitij is going to talk to you about how a lot of this intelligence helps. What we are also looking at is, let's say, God forbid, there's a breakdown or there's an accident. A lot of this information is available with your car to pump back to your back-end support. It could be a towing vehicle to an emergency ambulance requirement, all of that triggered right from the trigger of the airbag.
Absolutely. I'm sure you have seen the demos outside, right? And we showed something on how you can use telematics to kind of change the way insurance is working today, right? And I'm sure most of you have seen those demos. I think that world is changing pretty fast and changing really fast. Almost 4 or 5 years back, we did come up with something called as Cubism. It's basically coaching, user-based insurance service model. You can just Google it out, you'll find details around it. But things have changed and evolved even from there, where you can actually use telematics device to kind of get your premium prices lower. In US alone, there are almost 95% people who are saying that they are ready to basically move on to telematics-based device if it's going to give them anywhere between 15 to 20% of reduction on their premiums. That's a lot, right? That's going to change the world pretty fast.
Absolutely.
It doesn't stop there though, right? Because the industry is changing very fast and you may potentially have driverless cars, and we'll have to think as basically how do you insure a driverless car, because it's not the driver's responsibility any longer, and there's the industry which has already started to think how do you basically deal with such situations.
Sure. So intelligent cars like this, like Kshitij mentioned, there's quite a lot of data that's collected. What is offered today as pay as you drive, which means your insurance premium is going to be dictated based on how well you drive, how long you drive, how much you use your car. So a lot of customers are going to love it, and we believe we understand there's like a $75 billion savings to the end customer. Whereas on the other hand, insurance companies who are our customers are looking at making a $150 billion business out of it in terms of the user friendliness that it's going to be.
I'm wondering whether anytime soon it will be, actually our cars would be negotiating your premiums online, right? And that's basically where the APIs are now setting in. If insurance companies allow their APIs to be opened up, the cars could actually on fly negotiate your premium prices. That would be a great thing to have, right? But nevertheless, let's get to office. I think we're getting late.
Yeah, I think we've been for long on the road. Let's get to the office.
Right? The office world is transforming, no doubt about it, right? And very soon that you will see that we have started to move away from heavy equipments, machines, down to laptops, down to iPads. Most of our time is being spent on very light equipments, right? In the offices, the work has started to become very seamless. If in my car, was using iPad to look at, let's say, emails. I walk into my office, I have the same screen, I have the same email open in front of me, and I continue working from them. I don't really have to switch my work areas, right? How does it impact essentially around enterprise security and stuff like that?
Absolutely, Kshitij. I'm sure a lot of people already are looking at enterprise mobility, BYOD, and then much beyond that, the security, right? And now what we are going to look at is in terms of not just your device being secure enough, but how secure is the data across all of these activities, from being a field force management staff to a guest who's just visiting the office with still a lot more privileges than what he can look forward to today. Kshitij, I see there's already an alert on the phone.
Oh, is it so? Okay. Yeah, this one is a very interesting one. It's actually a bot that we have created. It's a reminder, but not really a reminder that you would go and set the dates. And it's about this person's marriage anniversary. And it seems to be forgotten about it. How many people forget your marriage anniversaries here?
I don't.
You don't? You're a seasoned one. So this one is basically picking up cues from your Facebook. There are people who are already wishing his wife. So there are basically relationships that have been set up. And he's getting a reminder saying, hey, are you sure you know what's happening? Right? So now that we have a reminder, let's basically get off from office and help this friend buy something for him.
Absolutely, Kshitij. We promised the audience a stress-free connected life. So let's get that.
Right, so let's get on to the retail, right? The retail is changing pretty fast, and the whole world seems to be revolving around the digital theme. And no longer, I think, you will have to kind of do window shopping, right? And I'm sure women are going to love this because, okay, I take my comments back, but you're going to like it because you don't really have to stand in front of windows any longer and try out or mentally think how the dress would fit you or whether you would look good in it. You can stand in front of what we're calling as digital mirror. How about that? You just stand in front of a digital mirror, you try out dresses, you try out colors, you try out sizes, right? And you go and hit a button there, which basically takes your photograph and puts it back to your hundreds of friends asking, hey, does this dress look good on me? Right? And if there are 10 people who say yes, you go and buy it.
What more, Kshitij, on a virtual trial room like this, as soon as you picked up the dress, it also has your intelligence coming back from the system of what kind of things do you typically buy, what are the kind of accessories that go well with this. Now, nothing better than this for a quick shopping for an anniversary that's already forgotten.
Absolutely, but this is all still for women, right? And I hope there is no HR here, but for somebody like me who has to do all the grocery shopping for my house, it's pretty tedious, right? The gents would agree, right? Grocery buying is pretty tough, right? This family is lucky enough to have the whole family there and they can decide what to buy. For me, I get a list, right? And I have to do the shopping for the day. So I typically fidget around with the list, with the phone. I keep calling my wife what to buy. And she says, you're in the wrong aisle. How does she know which aisle I'm in? Because she knows exactly where the products are kept. Go 2 aisles back and you will find this box there, right? I think that needs to change. Something has to happen for men as well. So here where we are, I need some help. And I think you can help with your mobility technology, right?
You'll still be on the phone, but I'll come back to you with a very interesting solution you're going to love.
Okay, great. Let's move on. So we do some shopping. We pay with our mobile cards, right? It's on fly. You don't have to really, use our credit cards going forward. And we do the shopping and let's rush home back.
Perfect. Now you got your gift. Let's get home and talk about what it is. Now I'm sure connected home has been interesting to a lot of us. Personally, this is probably one of my favorite on the connected life space, mainly because we've seen as technologists what gets mostly or the quickest adopted is what the operators back. And this is considered to be one of the highest ARPU generators for operators in the coming next wave. So let's look at what does it look from a connected home perspective. Now here, we have a beautiful house here. Now let's get in. What we have done at Accenture is built an entire connected home gateway. We built the entire stack that gets onto a home gateway, which can interact with multiple interfaces here, all over from a Zigbee interface to a Wi-Fi to a Bluetooth interface, talking to every intelligent device out there, be it your fridge, be it your oven, be it your security system, be it your surveillance. By the way, some of you might have already seen this out there in the demo. If you haven't, go check out a prototype. That's really cool. Let me start with the refrigerator, Kshitij. This is what I was talking to you. Imagine you are still on the phone in that retailer store, but now you're not talking to your wife, sorry about that, but the fridge is going to tell you on your list what is missing. it has the data about what do you typically buy in the third week of a month, what's the products that are missing in your refrigerator right now, pumping it back to a backend which pushes to your app and say, hey guys, this is the thing which you usually buy and this is already over in your refrigerator.
Great, you guys love it? Yes? Okay, let's move on, right? The oven seems to be doing something smart as well. It knows exactly what product I'm taking out of fridge. It talks to the oven. It knows that I'm taking out pizza, and it sets the temperature at 350, right? Put in the pizza, you eat it. You have to do that part. Okay? Let's move on. What does it do to our living, right? Going to the living room. Yeah, I think that's transformed as well. The digital world is transforming the way we live, the walls, the windows. You can change what you see from your windows every single day. You don't have to change your houses any longer, right? The digital connected TVs is still a great thing. We already started to use it, nothing new about it. But there is a single controller that kind of controls everything in your house. The ambience, the light, the temperature, the music, every single thing, right? Isn't that great?
Absolutely. One of the key things within the living, how many of you are already working on things like multi-screen, for example, right? I mean, as you walk into home, there's no more the fight for the remote, right? I mean, and no points for guessing who wins always. So what we are talking about is your single set-top box being intelligent enough to stream in the content on your tablet, on your large screen, the best, the soap your wife loves on the big screen, on your tablet, the sport that you're missing out, the kids what they want to watch, all of it coming from a single set-top box.
Great. There are things that happen behind the scene as well. I guess we need to appreciate those things that are happening naturally for us, right? And one of them is utilities. We have been doing a lot of work on utilities. Sanjeev mentioned about something that we are doing on utilities. One of the things that I would want to bring up is, let's say, smart water. It's a very important thing. And also from a social perspective, it's very important to use water smartly. What we've been doing in some places is literally putting sensors in pipelines so that you can actually monitor the flow of water and readjust the flows as per the utilization, right? The houses are going to be all solar paneled, right? How do you smartly use energy that is getting generated? And you would notice that mostly when we are out in offices, the whole energy that is generated is going wasted. So there is this whole smart grid concept where you can now start pushing back the energy that you generate back to grids. The grids are going to be now bi-directional. You just don't draw power out, but you can give the power back as well. It's a smart way to earn some more money.
Absolutely.
Yeah? So I get this part, Vijay, and absolutely, things are world on, the life is getting very better, and from Vijay's time to my time, things have really changed a lot. That was a joke, by the way. Okay, so let's move on, and I think beyond just the comfort of the life, I think we need to also look how it's going to impact our lives from a medical perspective. Is it changing anything around
Absolutely, Kshitij. Just before earlier, Sanjeev, and what you showed in terms of how you're doing with the trees, it's that touching. And I'm sure all of us as technologists, that's what we want. Imagine what we could change in healthcare segment. If we could look at a connected health where we can save a lot more lives, nothing like it. What we have done at Accenture is also built what we call our radiology connected platform. This essentially ensures at a given point of time, God forbidden, if there's an emergency that's required, you don't have to be always waiting for the doctor to arrive. We are bringing in the experts available with all the data necessary from wherever they are. Here is an expert sitting, miles away, maybe thousands of miles away, looking at the critical data, guiding the expert as virtually as, seeing she's sitting next to them.
Right, absolutely. And here is an app that Accenture has built, which actually enables our remote diagnosis, right?
Absolutely. So I'm sure this is a lot of data. Healthcare is all about huge large sizes of images.
Absolutely, petabytes of data. Sorry, I kind of fumbled on that because every time we talk about it, it keeps growing, right? Petabytes, zettabytes, zotabytes, I don't know how many more. But we are working with big data because there is huge amount of image processing that needs to happen in such cases. You need to compare this with old cases, see if there are matches in terms of some of the diagnoses that have been previously done, pull up those cases and learn from them. It's a tremendous amount of knowledge that's available from what has happened in past, right?
Absolutely. So with this, let me ask a quick question. How many of you system integrators here, how many of you testers at heart, how many of you architects defining use cases every day? All right, so I'm sure each of us are already thinking, these many use cases, these many across industries, these many across technologies, these many across standards. How is it all going to work? So what we have at Accenture is defined something called as Connected World Test Services. Now, this is all focused on bringing a trusted intermediary for operators, for for the manufacturers of these connected products, the huge back-end systems, the lot of intelligence that needs to be driven together that Kshitij just talk about. How do we integrate all of this and be a trusted intermediary to tell outside the world that, yeah, this is what needs to be tested. This is how we guarantee that a connected device is going to work across these industries, across these standards, across these various interfaces. Now, with that, why don't I open it up for questions? Any thoughts, any point of views that you want to share? Sure, please. Could you please get the mics here? Yeah, we have a question here, gentlemen. Please go ahead. Can we get a few more mics that side, please? Yeah, please go ahead.
This is regarding the question, like you are talking about the digital, but what about the digital wallpaper?
Okay, sure.
So because I want to change my color of my bedroom, maybe in a month or in a weekly.
Absolutely. I think Kshitij kind of just showed a glimpse of the window. Essentially, what he meant was that you could pretty much change the ambience. What more? Let me just take a step further. Within the connected home, the standards allow you to define where, depending on your own personal profile, just like your phone switches to a particular thing on the profile you set, as you enter the home, with some of the examples you saw on the face recognitions or the Heathrow airport and stuff like that, the ambience, which includes the lighting, the music that you want to play. I'm sure some of you might have seen on the YouTube that Bill Gates' home, he set it up probably spending millions of dollars a few years back. So I wouldn't be too surprised if that's all there in our apartments very soon.
No, in fact, it is not. It is already there. In some of the hotels in India, you already have ambience controls through iPads. It's pretty much there already. Yeah.
Sure, please. I can play back the question for you. Yeah.
Like we've seen it in, like cartoons, like progressive cartoons like Jetsons, where at home we can get something like, recently a movie was released called Elysium, where they had something called a medical bay, where, organizing atoms to cure medical emergencies and stuff like that. That's too future ahead.
Sure.
But what I'm talking about is in these intelligent homes, can't we have like portable medical bays where there are like small portable MRI scanners and blood testing solutions where the information is gathered immediately? Suppose somebody has a sore throat.
Right.
And he can use a swab and put it on some sort of a machine that would take up a count of the bacteria that has gone in, and transfer that back to the personal doctor or the family doctor, and the doctor can immediately start diagnosis and prognosis
Absolutely. Let me tell
at
you
a runtime.
Let me tell you the bad news. The use case that you said is already implemented. So let me start with, we're talking about what is also called as assisted living within connected life. I mean, imagine elderly, where I'll share you an example of a product that we have built, how this is related to assisted living for elderly, where there are quite a lot of parameters. You don't want to be wearing around huge amount of gadgets. So these devices are much more simplified. In some sense, it ties back to the Cubism platform that he also talked about, where you collect a lot of these vital parameters. Your mobile phone becomes a data aggregator. And a lot of this data gets there and gets to the back end, and you could do a lot more intelligence, like the connected platform in the healthcare segment that I talked about, where the doctors could be looking at this real time. It could be the family doctor who is giving real time advice.
Right. And I'm sure you have heard about Google coming up with lenses which take your glucose and send it out real time, right? So pretty much getting into a fusion of your natural wearing devices, not necessarily something which is something out of space, but if your normal glasses could start taking your readings and stuff like that, that would be great.
Absolutely.
So we're trying to start seeing some fusion in the things that you normally wear, your pens, your glasses, and things like that.
Yeah.
I was asking for more tailored product.
Yeah.
At the
end of the day, you go to one particular device and it checks your entire...
Absolutely, we should build it up together.
Sure. Yeah.
I have a question here.
Yes, please.
Yeah, how much of this is relevant to India? Like Sanjeev mentioned that even Wi-Fi connections are very slow, right?
Yeah. Okay, let me put back another question. Do we have a solution where on low Wi-Fi bandwidth, right, especially if you're going to take these solutions to rural India, if you look at a little bit more positive side, probably India was the fastest to deploy something like 3G, especially in the remote rural India. So of course, there's going to be a lot more of these brought in as solutions, not just in, let's say, India. Let's take about developing countries, right? Let's kind of generalize it there. Now, what we are talking about is connected products not just being intelligent, but we don't have to really wait for the LTE networks alone. Can we do on low bandwidth? Those are some of the lot of, I would say, innovations that are happening in that area.
And let me just add, Vijay, in fact, we have the advantage of coming in late and we can actually leapfrog, right? And some of the cases are very evident, right? If you've been reading around UID Aadhaar program, Accenture has got a very important play there. We play with biometrics, is out in press. You would see that how this whole system has been designed. Even in rural places, you are able to actually capture it and bring it back to the data centers. So there are ways to kind of overcome those limitations. In India specifically, there is high probability of fingerprints being washed off because people do very hard work, farming and stuff like that. So there are ways basically how you can still overcome those and stuff. So the technology has got its way to kind of work around the issues and problems. I think we'll get there pretty faster than later. Yeah.
Sure. And by the way, I mean, Sanjeev was taking, I'm sure he was making a joke about the Wi-Fi in the hotel here and not necessarily that bad.
I was just wondering, if you could take the
Sorry, go ahead.
If you could take the X-rays into somebody who could remotely diagnose this, like how about an application which comes in to say that, okay, this is the X-ray and it's flash, okay, these are the kind of things might have gone wrong. So there is a fracture of the femur and he need to go to this kind of surgery and this age is this, and with some device that he captures, which tracks all his medical records, and before the doctor himself asks, he said that, okay, if you're going for this particular surgery, he's having a heart disease, he's taking so-and-so medicine, so these all kind of cautions.
Sure. I mean, there's no end to the imagination. So how many of you have seen on the web, Steve Jobs looking at a cartoon? I mean, it's a cartoon where Steve Jobs is looking and the guy says, there's an app for that. So, literally you think of a use case, there's an app for that. So coming specifically to some of the things, like one of the radiology connected platform that I just talked to you about is all about this. This is not just the X-rays, for example. A lot of those high definition images, a lot of the scan reports, all of that are going to be there. These are live platforms where an expert is looking at it on the go. It could be integrated. It is along with integrations like what Jan showed you with the Google classes, where a surgery being performed, real-time data going back. Now, what more, at least something very new in my own mind in the healthcare is this platform also integrates social. So a lot of the caretakers are also on certain groups and get certain intelligence about some of these innovations or some of the advances that are happening so that they can help their ailing dear ones as caretakers to bring that data back to them. Kshitij, you want to add something?
No, you're right, but I mean, the case that we kind of put up on a video is absolutely doing that, where you are working on something primary when doctors are wearing the glasses, but then they might pick up image with somebody else realizes that there's something else that is hidden there that needs to be worked as well, right? And you may want to complete that operation in the same go. There are things that are already happening in that way.
I have two questions. With the growing amount of social interaction and digital, how is the privacy of the user's content which is collected maintained? And the second question is, sometimes I feel there is too much of intrusion in my personal life. I don't want somebody telling me what should I be buying and keeping in my refrigerator. And how much social intrusion is acceptable is my first thing. And second thing and most important thing is privacy. Am I not entitled to have privacy of my data? I don't want that ads to be popping up whenever I visit a website just because I searched for a tablet for my physical condition and they come and bombard me. So I mean, we are also living in a world where we are ascertaining our private right to privacy.
Absolutely.
So this is something which we need to draw a line in our thing where we don't go beyond this.
Yeah. So let me maybe just comprehend that as a question on how do we look at security in this connected world context?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So, do you want to take a...
Yeah, so the most important part is it's going to be as open as you want it to be. Right? It doesn't intrude into your private space at all. The Facebook comments is something that you choose. You can integrate your fridge with your mobile, or you would continue to listen to your wife. Choice is yours, right? So the convenience is there. I think it's just about our choices that we make in our life, whether you would want to be more connected or you would want to continue the way we work. Look, just 10 years back, right, we would have not imagined the things that we are already using, which we would have called 10 years back as an intrusion, but today we are accepting as the day in life scenario, right? We don't even realize what we are doing today as an accepted mode. 10 years from now, things will be still different. Your kids won't mind maybe connected from having a connected fridge to your mobile.
Yeah, also if I can add a few more points around it. So the way I look at it is, we within our minds distinguishing or looking at what it means in terms of security across the various stakeholders. Let's take the healthcare example itself, right? Today, we don't have a lot of that data available to the caretakers, to maybe a couple of other interested parties, maybe the insurance company, for example. It's just probably between the patient and doctor. So while this is coming in, we are also talking about distinguishing what is the security access that we want to provide each of it. So all you security experts out there, it's basically asking you to raise your game in terms of how are you still going to make all that possible.
Absolutely.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
I'd like to add on the same thing.
Sure.
There's a search engine called as Million Tall or Million Short.
Okay.
So
can we get a mic here, please?
So there's actually a search engine called as Million Tall or Million Short. Okay, both are created by one of the Indians out in California.
Okay.
And they are working on what problem you are saying. See, I don't want to get whatever the system thinks or the algorithm thinks what I want. I want to see something new. Absolutely. So even that's available. And people are working. And in fact, on the ads front, as you said, there are apps today to kill the ads. Yeah. So not to worry. Yeah, people are working even in that direction.
All right. So that's the digital pace, right? We already have the answer in the front of the row. So.
Yeah, I have one question.
Yes, please.
You have been telling about a lot of use cases, and I certainly believe that there is no pause or full stop for the use case that you can think of.
Yeah.
So what I'm more interested is in the technology that you're going to work on going forward, because there's a lot of things like other than Wi-Fi, there is something like Dash 7, there is Z-Wave, and a lot of things which you really don't have to rely on the low-speed Wi-Fi stuff. Right. Especially in countries like India, where you don't have good infrastructure. So in such cases, what is the future or devices that you're going to come up for, based on the technology like Dash 7 and Z-Wave, so that you can make things more connected, you can bring IoT into reality.
Yeah. So let me just detail a bit. A lot of these use cases, what I'm talking is we just picked a few examples of Accenture implementations, and I'm sure there are millions of things out there. And like I started, I'm sure a lot of you experts out there are building many use cases like this. Need, what connected life is bringing about is what I said, the need of the connected world test services, being aware of a single product, bringing multiple different standards, being applied across industries like home to utilities to retail. And it's pretty much the same standard. So I would say it's more about looking at all of these standards together, interworking, and ability to integrate them. Yes, please.
Yeah.
We'll just get the mic to you in a minute.
We are all living in connected world, and I appreciate that a lot of technologies are working around this. Yeah. Is it that relevant, knowing all our biometric data and whatever our body parameters, the life expectancy? So everyone want to live a long life, right? Yeah. Looking at the body, like instead of after attending the serious emergency, you live like this means these are the problems you are going to face. Right. You work hard on your health. So this kind of extrapolation will really help mankind. And what do you think?
Kshitij, your views. I love it. So I am no expert to comment on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at the programs that probably Nike has brought to life, right? Where you take maybe 1,000 steps each day or 3,000 steps each day. When there are so many people that are working to kind of make sure that you're walking each day, right? Or I'll give you a tree app where you can go and do tree countings, right? That's an excellent example where you can actually pee on your foot and not be bogged down by digital screens and things like that. So absolutely, it's a great space. I think.
Extrapolating on our health, right? If you continue like this, these are the definite sure you're going to invite these health problems, and you are going to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry, just 1 minute.
There are so many apps where you can actually monitor your pulse, you can do walking every day, you can track your path in terms of how much you have done walking.
Yeah, podometer devices in your product, in your pocket, tracking
out.
your movement all through.
Yeah, hi, I'm Madhu from Accenture. To answer to that, also add on to that question, this answer, right, which Kshitij mentioned. There's also there's on the big data, because you have a lot of genome, etc. analysis, right? So you can also predict what type of medicine is personalized medicine, right? That will definitely extend the life expectancy. So that's kind of which will help us increase our lifespan if we may want to, right? And the other thing is in terms of even the there is a lot of use cases, and this is happening currently also, where you have diseases like there's sugar and diabetes and etc. Right? You can have oral medication, and beyond that it becomes very chronic, where you need to really get injected, and that's a very bad zone that people need to get. If they get into that, that's a very really risky zone, right? So what we generally do, we do have a big data platform where we're doing analysis and actually let the patients know that you are well within this zone and what should you really be doing to be within that zone. And there's also the statistics and study that's done, and generally in US where, in India, where I think the culture is still good, where you have, all families staying together, whereas in some places where you actually have single, just parents, single old people who are just living with their kids far away, it's very demotivating for them to really live their life very well, right? So generally their food habits are with, food which is already stocked in the fridge, not eating correctly, not really taking even the oral medication. And what we've seen is these kind of patients get into the zone where the medical facilities or the medication becomes very expensive. Now, the business use cases, the healthcare providers then now have to really pay more, right? Now that's the business use case that the healthcare providers are trying to see is how do I ensure that I don't really pay so much? How can I do to ensure that these patients are motivated to not get into that zone? Right? So it's not only us as individuals who want to increase our lifespan, but there are these healthcare insurance providers who are also motivated to ensure that we don't get into those zones so that they don't have to really pay. Yep.
Yeah, thanks Madhu.
Okay, maybe one or two questions more.
Yeah, mine is towards avoiding accidents with all these connected lifestyle devices and all. What's light is set towards avoiding the accidents?
Avoiding accidents?
Yeah, we do have driver monitoring system like big companies, Volvo and all they're doing. But with technology so much enhanced, what better solutions could be there?
Absolutely. So we are, as I said, right, we are moving towards driverless cars as well, right? And if you've kind of seen what we demoed outside, we did a visualization about accidents about over 1 year. That's a live data, by the way, right? So just studying through the immense amount of data, US has about 10 years worth of accidents data. You can almost replay every single scene, event by event, in terms of how the accident happened. You can almost simulate that. And there is tremendous amount of learning that comes out of it. For an example, and you can go and Google it and study the accidents data that is available. In US, all the accidents which had casualty of more than 25, 30 people were in large commercial buses, which ply on interstates during night times. Okay, you can Google it and you'll find every single month there are at least 2 or 3 accidents happening in US which are happening on interstate, nighttime, large buses. If you just study this, you know that there is something going wrong with the drivers that are running this, the people who are basically working overtime, non-natives, not US people coming from outside and working overtime to earn their wages, and they actually doze off. Right? You also might have heard about appliances where it senses that you're going to fall asleep and it wakes you up, or it gives you a pinch, a small shock, right? Those are things that are already getting worked up. I think we are very close to it.
Okay, still a few more questions.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah, so this is not a question, maybe this is my perception. What you may differ, others might also differ. I see it like the country, like the whole world moving in such a good pace in terms of digital technology. What I feel is there are still age-old systems like, like analog systems, analog displays, like we are talking about cloud and, like BI and like big data. So with this, we have everything moving on to the virtual world. Don't we think we have already added up to a lot of e-waste? And maybe this is not the right forum to discuss this. Maybe I should ask this question.
It's absolutely good forum to discuss this. I think it is good to have e-waste than have real waste, right? Using digital, you can actually avoid travels. You can avoid carbon footprints, right? And we are saving immense amount of money on fuel wastages. Cars are getting smarter. I think it's absolutely right thing to do to go digital because it has got tremendous impact, positive impact on environments. I don't think we are going to have a negative impact on environments.
But just a thought, like what are we doing to actually transform that e-waste into something reusable? Like there should be a technology that should help, like the biodiversification in terms of. Maybe I should ask this question to IBM, the manufacturer of servers, who will be facing this tremendous problem in this digital world with people moving on to the cloud and private clouds. A lot of servers will not be of use, I think. I guess so. So maybe just a thought.
Yep.
Thank you.
When somebody pointed out about life expectancy and the digital connect, and thanks for Madam for bringing in the personalized medicine. I mean, there is a genomic-based prescription. Now it's called pharmacogenomics. Yeah. But now what I was worrying about with this digital reconnect is like we are intensifying the amount of radiation on surrounding. We have those sensors and everything is passing information all around. So tomorrow, by today, okay, we could see, the news is coming out when the radiations and all its effects. And now in tomorrow's world, if we intensify it to such an extent where everything is, every single device all around us, even from a small bulb or a torch or a battery or a footwear, everything is passing information and through this radiation sources. So what is there any alternative which would allay these fears coming up?
So let me take that. Okay. Now 50 years back we had same worry about nuclear power, right? People were very skeptical about how to use it. We have moved on. I think technology moves up pretty fast, catches up pretty fast. I'm sure there will be scientists who are thinking about how to work on that. Yeah.
I think so. We're standing between lunch and audience here. So should we give them back their 15 minutes? Sorry, is there another question?
Yeah, from
sure, please go ahead.
Yeah, actually we are tied up with the technology. Like, I mean, when you're using the like Android, there is, for every service you need to depend upon the Google. For example, we need to have some write application for like access to Google Maps or any Google services. So we are tied up with the application. We are tied up with the Google. So how do we work on with that? Something happened in between. So there is a competitor for these things.
Yeah. So let me kind of elaborate that in this context, right? So what we are talking about is today what used to be smartphones as standalone, or really they were not really smart in that today's context. If you say that they were probably dumb phones. From there to what each of these platform providers have made it, right? Not just Google. I mean, why not Apple or any of these? They have really become vertically integrated platforms, which means you have various services that are all being provided on the phone, and they continue to be with the user even after the phone is sold. Earlier, it used to be the phone sold in the box and done. So you're getting to the next stage. Now, of course, once you get to that, services continuing to be provided by a vertically integrated platform like that, there are going to be challenges, like you said, you're tied, but at the same time, there are going to be a lot more seamless services that come up.
Correct. So same way when in the session we are mentioning Google. Every time we are using the Google. So it's indicating we are, all the people are tied up with the Google. So for example, if you want to search, if you are not finding anything, we need a Google. Say, assume Google is not there. How do we overcome with these things?
Okay, so is that a point of view or is that a question?
Yeah.
The good point. Good point.
So these are the things.
No, I think there's still a question which, yeah. Sorry, I missed the question. Sanjeev just described, right? Anybody wants to give an answer to it? I don't have really a view to it. I mean, the way I hear is you're saying once we get into a particular
it's basically
provider like this,
locking down to Google.
Yeah, we are locking down to a particular user. I think there are both good and bad point of views about it. At least the way I see it is, it's just enabling lot more like a vertically integrated platforms, which will make a lot more personalized services possible, but not necessarily tied down to. That's my personal point of view, if you ask. But let me crowdsource here.
Let me just leave you with thought that there is already another company who has started to kind of behave and compete like Google. Google it out yourself. Yeah. Okay? Who is that? Yeah. The more data you have, you will be 10 to that search. No, but there is already another company who has started to kind of be rival to Google. What I'm saying, you have to go and Google out who it is. Okay, last one question and we close.
I have one suggestion. Yeah. All of we know how our Indian mega cities are growing daily. At the same rate, the cities are growing in a pollution. So as we know presently how the situation in China, especially in Beijing, so people are like moving in using their mask and behind their like oxygen tanks and all. So in the future, even in India, I don't want to roam outside using the oxygen tanks. So how is there any app? Otherwise, why could we develop an app to control the daily pollution that should track the highly polluting vehicle, especially cars or bikes? That should send out the messages to the vehicle owner. They can so that they can control their vehicles pollution. They can take their they can get the vehicle serviced properly, so that we can go with better India. We can grow within a better India in a future.
Sure.
So yeah. How
useful thought. So let me I'll kind of answer your question around how in a way. So as part of the connected health, we know there are already sensors which sense like pollen allergy, for example, that pump back to an aggregator, which mostly is a smartphone. So that way, along with those sensors, the app is kind of providing you an intelligence whether at 6 a.m. today morning, considering the pollen out there, is it good for you to go out for a jogging or not? So there's just an example that I'm giving you. Of course, on the connected car, what we didn't touch upon, but it is already being taken care by quite a lot of, I'm leaving out on the technology part, right? There's of course the cars itself moving from a hybrid to a electronic. I'm leaving out that part. But as part of the connected car, what I was talking to you about was training the user how to drive when such parameters go back, kind of influences when there is too much of bad driving, too much of acceleration, too much of poor driving situations being applied. It prompts back on the dashboard to the user that you're kind of going red. You're kind of so those are some of the elements which should kind of tie into what you were talking about improving, right? So with that, Kshitij, I think we should give back about 10 minutes.
Absolutely. Let them have some digital food
Vaishnavi is going to love this. So let me kind of conclude with saying, as Sanjeev kind of earlier in the morning explained, being digital disruptors, we believe with the kind of products and assets that you just saw, we're all set to ride that next wave. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kshitij, and thank you, Vijay. We are indeed in a small world that's increasingly well connected. On that note, it's time to connect, talk, converse more on digital technology over lunch. The demonstrations will remain open during the lunch break. We also have a video booth that's been set up in the speakers lounge, which is sort of perpendicular to this room beyond the demonstrations. And we invite all of you to come in front of the camera and give us feedback on what you think about this event, and also tell us what you'd like to see at the next such event. Let me also remind you that we're taking questions, out of which we'll be able to address some at the panel discussion that will happen straight after lunch. So we'll see you, and you have to, of course, submit these questions on a sheet of paper with your name on it to the registration desk. We'll see you back here at 1:30 post-lunch. Enjoy your lunch. Thank you.